So I'd like to introduce you to my daughter Gemma and some of her cooking.
Hi everyone, so today we are going to be making some cinnamon rolls. My name is Gemma, and one thing about our family is we all live next door and we all get together Saturday morning. So it is Saturday today. Fortunately, it's a little cloudy out today, but what better way to spruce up the day than with some delicious gooey cinnamon rolls. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm just going to get my apron on and we'll get right into it. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we have 4 3/4 cups of flour. So we're going to go ahead and add that to our large mixing bowl. And then we are also going to go ahead and add in 1/3 cup of sugar and 4 1/4 teaspoons of active yeast. This is the equivalent to 2 of those little active yeast packets. So once we go ahead and get those all added together, we're just going to kind of aerate the mixture with the whisk. So give that just a good little mix up, get them all incorporated in here. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and set that aside. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 1 1/3 cups of milk, and we're going to go ahead and add in 1/3 cup of cubed butter. It's easiest to cube your butter when it is cold out the fridge, otherwise you're just going to have a sloppy mess and it's going to be sticking to your knife, so best to do this in advance right when it comes out the fridge. So we're just going to go ahead and add this to a microwave safe dish. So this is just a little Pyrex dish I have. And then we're going to pop this in the microwave for 45 seconds. So we're just going to kind of warm it up, get the butter melting just a little bit, but we don't want the butter melted all the way. Okay, so we've got our butter that has been melted slightly with our milk. I'm going to go ahead and get one more mixing bowl, and what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of this mixture here, about maybe just under half of it, to the big bowl. Keep the rest aside. And we're going to go ahead and add this butter and milk mixture. We are also going to go ahead and add 1 room temperature egg. Now, part of the reason we're heating that mixture before we're adding it to this is because it's going to really help get that yeast active and get it starting to want to grow and rise, which is what we're going to want. We're just going to get this combined here. And we're going to just slowly kind of add a little bit more flour until basically all our flour is mixed in. This is us making the dough for the cinnamon rolls. It's going to look a little dry at first, but once it gets all combined, it'll make a really nice dough here. A little bit more. Good to use a wooden spoon for this, just because the wooden spoons are just so much more sturdy than, say, like a plastic spatula. You're just not going to be able to really get your muscle in there with a spatula for this step. You could also use your KitchenAid mixer with a dough hook, but this really does come together so quick, so I just like to use a wooden spoon and just give it a good mix. And we'll just go ahead and add the last bit here. You can see it's slowly incorporating. Even out the arms there. Don't want one arm doing all the work. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my hands here. Just kind of finish combining it. Knead it just a little bit. Alright, so our dough's been resting now for about 10 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and get it out the bowl. And we're just going to kind of start getting it spread out here a little bit. We're going to be making about a 12 by 15 inch rectangle for our cinnamon rolls. That's going to be our base that we're going to put all our yummy toppings on. Alright, so we've got our rectangle here. We're going to go ahead and combine about 3/4 cups of sugar with 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. So I'm just going to go ahead and add it here. I'm going to mix it with a fork. Just make it nice and simple. Just kind of give it a good little combination here. Nice and combined. Alright, so that's our mixture there, and then we've got some softened butter here. We're going to go ahead and spread. Just going to go ahead and use a little spatula. You're going to want to stay about a 1/2 inch away from the edge, just so it doesn't just squeeze out when you roll it. Spread that out just a little bit more. Try and get it as even as possible. Okie dokie. That looks pretty good. Get the rest off of there. And then, real simple, we're just gonna go ahead and pour this mixture on. I usually just kind of dump it on the center, and then I just take my hands and kind of spread it out. So it's gonna look pretty thick on there, but that's kind of what you want. You want it to really melt and get nice and gooey in that filling when it cooks. Just kind of spread this out. And I usually just kind of give it just a little pat down to help it stay when I go to roll it up. Alright, and then we're just going to take the dough and just roll it into a nice roll. And we're rolling along the longer side of it, so it'll make a nice long. I'm going to go ahead and move this to the center of my mat here. Alright, so we've got our nice big roll. And then a lot of people you'll see they use unflavored dental floss to slice that. I just prefer to use my bread knife. I've never had an issue with it smushing the roll, which is why they recommend doing the tie method. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my bread knife, and then we're just going to cut this into 12 even slices and get it prepped in our pan. So the easiest way for me to do this is I kind of mark the center just lightly, and then we're going to want 12 total, so then I'll mark in between each one. And then I know I need 3 in between that, so then I just kind of score approximately. It doesn't have to be perfect. I usually take just a little bit off the edge too, just to make nice uniform rolls. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're just going to do number 6 here. Just going to take this edge off, just so we have a perfect end. And then we're going to do the same on this side. So this roll I might have done over a little wide. Just going to fix that. And we're just going to take off that end again. All right. So we're just gonna go ahead and cut these. And again, with the bread knife, I don't have any issue with it, especially because I'm using that serrated edge that's just gonna basically slice through it. So my rolls still stay nice and round. They don't have to be perfect, but it's really a personal preference. Some might like some bigger than others. That way there's a little bit of variety for everyone who's eating them. I try to keep them as uniform as possible. I haven't really noticed an issue with the smaller ones cooking too much, so it's not that big. Get these all cut here. Alright, and then I went ahead and I'm just using a 9x13 Pyrex dish. I lightly greased it here, so we're just going to go ahead and take that. And I'm just going to add our cinnamon rolls in rows of 3. And you can see they've got a real nice swirl. They're not smushed, they're holding their shape well. And that's really what we're going for. So there's going to be space between them right now, but we're going to go ahead and let these proof in the oven on our bread proof setting. And typically in Florida, you don't really have to do that. You can just leave it on the counter, but it is a little cooler out this morning, and my house is a little colder than it normally is. So this is just going to speed up the process of the rising just a little bit. Another thing I love about this recipe is you can make this up to 24 hours in advance. And as long as you put it in the fridge before it starts to rise, the fridge, the cold temperature will stop it from rising or slow it down enough that tomorrow, say if I didn't want to cook these now, I can go ahead and put them in the fridge. Tomorrow night after dinner, say we want them for dessert, I just pull them out an hour before I'm going to cook them. Go ahead and put them on like a warm area, let them still rise for an hour, and then just go ahead and bake them, and they're just as good as if I just made them now. You don't want them to overproof. If you had let them rise and then tried to put them in the fridge, you're just going to end up with a sloppy mess because they're going to overproof and it's just not going to be. So anyway, so we've got those there, so I'm going to go ahead and get those in the oven. I like to lightly cover them, so I'm just going to use a tea towel. We're just going to go ahead and drape this over it. It's a clean tea towel. Just put this out. And we're just going to put it in the oven on our proof setting. So we'll leave that for about an hour and then come back. It should be almost double the size, and we can go ahead and eat. Alright, so our cinnamon rolls have now been in the oven for 1 hour proofing, so we're going to go ahead and take those out. Let's see here. And as you can see, they've doubled in size. They're nice, perfectly rose. So what we're going to do now is preheat the oven to 350. And then my favorite thing to do before I bake these, which to me just takes these to that next level and really make sure that they're nice and like soft and gooey, but they're still cooked, is we're going to add some heavy cream straight to the dish. So let me go ahead and get that. Alright, so I just have some heavy whipping cream. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour this over them, kind of in between them. I don't really measure this out, I just kind of pour a good amount in there. I like it going up the edges about 3/4 of the way. This is just going to add a really nice richness to these cinnamon rolls. Alright. So now that I've added that, I'm going to go ahead and cover these with some tin foil for the first 20 minutes at least. And that's just going to make sure that they don't get dried out while they're cooking. It's going to help keep that moisture in and really let those cinnamon rolls absorb all of that nice heavy whipping cream. Cover that with some foil. the oven has hit temperature, we're going to go ahead and put this in for 20 minutes with the foil on, and then we're going to take the after 20 minutes we're going to take the foil off and cook it for another 10 minutes without the foil, and then it should cook to perfection. So I'm just going to hang out while that oven preheats. Okay, so our cinnamon rolls are in the oven. We've got their first 20 minutes of cooking right now going on. So while that's happening, we're going to go ahead and make our cream cheese icing on top. So this is a little bit thicker and it's just got that creaminess to it. It's balanced by the cream cheese, so it's not too sweet, but I like to think it's just right. So we're going to go ahead. I am going to use my stand mixer for this just because it's a little bit easier. I'm going to add 1 package of cream cheese here. So just go ahead and add that right into our mixing bowl. And this is cream cheese that is at room temperature, so it's soft right now. Makes it a lot easier to mix. And we're going to add 1 stick of softened butter, so same thing, it's room temperature. So it should blend in pretty easily. Add that in. And I've got it plugged in. I'm just going to go ahead and get this just kind of creamed together a little bit before I add the sugar. We're going to let that go a few minutes. I'm just going to sip the sugar real quick. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and lower my bowl. I've still got some butter and cream cheese stuck to my wrist, but that's okay. A good amount of it has creamed together. So we're going to add our sifted sugar here. And sifting is really going to just make sure that this comes out nice and creamy without any clumps. I'm also going to go ahead and just scrape the sides of the bowl just to kind of get all that cream cheese and butter mixture down into the bottom of the bowl. Help it combine with that sugar. And this is where I'm going to also scrape the spatula down a little bit too. Get everything to the bottom. You want it nice and I'm just going to start slow so all the powdered sugar doesn't just dust out. And then we'll pick up some. I'm also going to go ahead and add about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. There we go. I'm just going to pick up a little steam. Scrape the bowl one more time and just kind of get any left out. It's almost fully combined. Just got just a little bit extra in the whisk here. It's getting nice and creamy. Just let her go. So I'm pretty happy with how this is looking. You can see it's just real nice and creamy. Get as much of this off the whisk. Give it a good little tap. A little bit more. Alright. And we'll just scrape some of that excess off. Perfect. That aside. I'm just gonna gather it here. Looks nice and smooth. I don't really see any little clumps in there, so we're gonna just leave it like that. But I am gonna go ahead and transfer it into a dish. Maybe one a little bigger. We're ready to use it. Kind of keep it from drying out. Because our cinnamon rolls are going to be done here within a half hour, I want this to stay soft. So I am just going to leave it at room temperature. There is cream cheese in it, but it should be fine for another hour out. Making a mess here. Whoops. That one paper towel. And just a little bit more. Don't want to lose any of that goodness. Alright. So there we have it, our cream cheese frosting. So as soon as those come out, we'll wait about 10 minutes to let them cool, and then we are going to spread this on nice and thick, and it's just going to be the perfect finish to these cinnamon rolls. Okay, so our first 20 minutes just went off. I just went ahead and removed the piece of foil. You can see that most of the heavy cream has now been absorbed. There's still just a little bit left. So now we're gonna let it cook another 10 minutes. That's really gonna just give a light golden brown color to the top, as well as absorb the rest of that heavy cream. Okay, so that's our timer going off. So we're gonna go ahead and turn the oven off. And we're gonna pull this off the oven. Those have risen very nicely. They've got a nice golden color to them. You can tell everything's nice and firm to the touch. So even though it might not be as dark as some places, it's still cooked. It's nice and it's not doughy by any means. But by keeping them covered with foil for that 20 minutes, that's really helping us keep that moisture in, so we can just have that nice gooey cinnamon roll that we all love, those center bits. So I'm going to let this cool for about 10 minutes, and then we will ice them and get the family over here to start eating them. Okay, so our cinnamon rolls have now sat for about 10 minutes. They're not too hot now, they're still very warm, but they're cool enough that we can add the icing and it's not just going to melt away. So Santa Claus one. Why not? Alright, so we've got all our room temperature icing. So it's nice and creamy and smooth. I'm just going to kind of throw some on here, spread it out first. It'll just make it easier to spread. Get some clumps on here. Just like that, and we're going to use up all this icing. Just going to go ahead and get some over here. Perfect. Alright, and then we're just going to kind of just work on the rolls. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. So, try rice. So good. So there's our cinnamon rolls. I'm gonna go ahead and call the family. We're gonna get these eaten. Real quick, I'll show you what one looks like. This edge ones, and just separate it a little bit. It's always hard just getting that first one out. Okay. See the steam coming off of there. But you can see we've got a nice, very soft, nice and chewy, but very cooked cinnamon roll. Nice big size too. So there we go, and that's how we make our homemade cinnamon rolls.